Welcome into the roundtable. I'm Brad Wakai. That is Tyson Gentry. We have our college football episode today. Tyson, a lot to discuss. We finally have the college football championship games this weekend. College football playoff rankings come out. It's the second to last one. And then, of course, we're going to preview our bowl games, give out picks, anything that we have right now. If not, everything else will be in the chalkboard. Tyson, I can't believe we're saying this, man. We are almost done with college football.
Yeah, it feels like it took quite a while to get it up and running. We were a little slow to get these kind of weekly ones going, but it felt like it lasted years. It was like every week doing this, but not for nothing, but we hit some out of the park this year, Brad.
Oh, dude, we had a great year. We'll recap that a bit as we get into money making time. Everybody likes it when we do our little celebration dances and pat ourselves on the back. But we're also going to have our worst calls as well, because we can't be acting like we hit 100%, because that's just not how it works. But let's jump right in right now. Let's get into the college football playoff rankings. They came out, like I said, second to last one here. Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, TCU number 3, USC number 4. Any qualms? Any issues you have with that?
I don't know how you could be upset with the top 4. I don't even know how you could be upset with the order of the top 4. And people are fighting right now on 5 through 8, pretty much. Like, where should those guys be ranked? Where does Bama fit into this? Where does Penn State fit into this? Tennessee, you name it. Ohio State, are they going to get back in? But it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's acting like the college football playoff was supposed to fix this problem. This was a problem in the BCS too. If you go 13-0 or 12-0 and then lose in the conference championship game, you were never making the national championship anyway. So it allows people to backdoor their way in a little bit more, but that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, and we talk about it. Well, where's Ohio State? Alabama, of course, they're 6. They're just waiting for TCU or USC to trip up, and then they're just going to put them in there. I do think it's interesting in regards to TCU. It feels like they've gotten a little bit more respect from the committee, being undefeated and now sitting at 3. Because I think if kind of looking into the committee, being like, what are they thinking? If they were sitting at 4, I think the committee's just waiting for them to lose to kind of fuck them over. Where they're at now, I think there's honestly a little grace period they have, or even one loss. TCU might get the nod over in Ohio State.
Well, I think the committee's upset with themselves probably right now for not moving USC above LSU a week ago after the big top 10 win they have when they play UCLA or top 15 or whatever it is. Because if they jumped in then, it's way easier for the committee to go, well, they won again. They're going to 3. Like TCU has to stay at 4, which I think would be what they prefer, because obviously TCU is undefeated and they played really well, but you're kidding yourself. You don't think all these TV networks want Alabama and Ohio State in the college football playoff.
Now, here's the question everybody's going to ask. How did they find a way to get Ohio State and Alabama into this thing? Do you think, honestly, if TCU loses, that they're out, and if USC loses, they're out and Ohio State's in? If either one of those two teams lose, I think Ohio State goes in for sure. That Bama is where it gets interesting, because the committee put them in a spot where it's almost impossible for them to get in unless both USC and TCU lose badly, which doesn't look likely to happen going into the weekend, but you never know. But I think Bama sitting at 6 was kind of just a little kick in the nuts for them, because there's no real way they're getting into this thing. Ohio State is a real possibility, because if either one of those two teams lose, you're going to have a really hard time. People already are going to forget. They're going to be like, well, it was close for the first half, and if they put a safety up top and stack the box, which you can't do at the same time, but that's what they were doing wrong, right? If you read the internet, it's like, oh, this is so easy to fix, and it's not. Oh, Jim Harbaugh just coached the pants off of Ryan Day all day long. Ohio State's back in if either one of these teams lose 100%. Yeah, I agree with that. It's unfortunate, right? Because I saw something circulating around. It was like back when the college football playoff first started, the Big 12 didn't have the championship game. So that's why the committee kept TCU out. Now, if they lose in the Big 12 championship game, well, you have one loss, so does Ohio State, and it's just always figuring out a way to get these big name brands in there. And at the end of the day, this is like a TV event, and Ohio State's going to have a bigger draw than TCU, which just brings back, again, another point that we can have on a different podcast, an expansion of the playoff, which seemingly is going to come in 2024. But at that point, then we're looking at it, then
Okay, so Penn State has 2 losses. Clemson has 2 losses down there on the 8 and 9. Kansas State, if they win the Big 12, like are they in? Like it becomes messy still, no matter what. But I do think the expansion would become more fair. And like quite honestly with you, Tyson, yeah, Alabama played in the SEC. Penn State's resume is way better than Alabama's. They lost twice to Michigan and Ohio State, the 2 and the 5 ranked team in the country right now, according to the committee. We're leading at halftime against Michigan. We're leading at halftime against Ohio State. That's more impressive than anything that Alabama's done all season, quite honestly.
Just wait, man. You're getting too far ahead of yourself right now. We don't need to worry about this unless they actually get jumped. But the mental gymnastics that are going to happen it's going to be really fun to watch because all those things you just said weren't reasons that Penn State was good enough in the committee's mind to be ranked above them now. And so there's no way that changes, right? If Michigan wins by 20, it's because Purdue's unranked and they're supposed to go in there and roll them. No shit, Penn State, you lost. But if Michigan plays bad or TCU plays bad, then Bama is the one. Nobody's asking, is Penn State going to get in this thing? People are like, oh, Bama's coming back. Because, Brad, they lost to Tennessee, who was a good team. And they played close games all year long, but they only lost to good teams. And when you only lose to good teams, it's better than actually being up on those teams or being talent deficient to those teams, like Penn State was, in the committee's eyes, at least. For some reason, you count the 5 stars, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, they could have easily won those games. With Penn State, it's like, well, they lose to every year. No shit.
It's a galaxy brain that the committee always tries to throw at us and say, you just don't understand what's going on here. We're the committee, and you guys are the peasants, and you accept what goes on here. All right, let's get into the conference championship preview here, Tyson. 2 mainly that we want to highlight because we set it off the top. If USC loses, if TCU loses, Ohio State's probably in and is going to replace them. So let's start in the Pac-12 championship game. Now, this is a rematch. Earlier in the season, Utah absolutely curb stomped USC. Or am I right here? Yeah, no, I got the wrong game up. I apologize. But October 25th, they didn't curb stomp, but they skated by 43-42. Yeah, and this is an insane affair. USC 6-1, Utah hosting at home. First loss of the season for USC. I honestly think that plays in USC's favor in this one, Tyson. They know what they need to do. I think they're playing out of their minds right now. The offense, Caleb Williams, is unbelievable. And in Utah, there'd be nothing more exciting for them, for Kyle Whittingham, than to beat USC and make sure they don't go to the playoff. What's your read on this game heading into Friday?
It feels a lot like it did in the preseason to me, where it was like it was going to be these two all along, and Oregon scared people for a little bit and came back to earth. And there was some people that jumped out and grabbed Utah that we didn't expect, right? The Florida game, and then you go down the list. They played close games against people that we thought they were going to crush. So they haven't been as good as people thought they were going to be, and USC's been lighting the world on fire. It's still just the matchup, the contrast of styles. That's what's concerning to me, because preseason I was like, Utah's going to punch these guys in the face. But then when they played, it was pretty much anything but that. It ended up being like, if you bet the over, you were very happy that day. And I don't know if this is going to be a repeat of that necessarily, but we've already seen these two teams are super evenly matched. And as you said, it's really hard to beat somebody twice, really, really hard, let alone somebody that easily you could have handled the first time. So I think USC is going to be walking to this one with a bit of swagger. And it's not really a playoff without Lincoln Riley getting beat by 70 in round 1.
You're right. He's going to find his way in, and we're going to fall in love with it again, and then he's going to get pounded. And that's just kind of how the Lincoln Riley story goes. As far as this matchup, I agree with you. We both said this when we were previewing this game earlier in the year. We thought Utah was going to pound it down their throat, run them off the field, and really be more physical than USC. Turned out Utah just wanted to throw the ball around like they were USC, and it was a shootout, and it looked like a classic game out on the island when Colt Brennan was the quarterback. Like, it was nuts. They were just going up and down the field at will. I think we're going to see a little bit more physicality from Utah in this one. I do think Whittingham's going to sit back and look, hey, USC can be pounded on the ground. Now, I thought they actually did a good job against Notre Dame last week when everybody thought, hey, Notre Dame's just going to come in and power crush them to death. I thought USC responded well, and the defense has grown a bit under Alex Grinch as we get down this later in the stretch here. I just think USC right now, they're playing at a level that is really hard to top. Now, it would be super like super USC and super Lincoln Riley to lose this game. But I mean, Caleb Williams is on a different level right now, man.
Oh, I mean, I've been going on and on about Hendon Hooker and the Heisman, and felt really good for a couple weeks. When I was like the only person preseason that was probably holding the ticket, then I was very excited. And now, if Caleb Williams doesn't win the award, New York will burn down. Like there's no way that he's minus 3,000 right now on FanDuel. I don't think he could throw 4 interceptions against Utah, and it might not change things. Like this is his to lose. He's been super impressive. And honestly, USC has a lot of guys that are going to be playing football on Sundays on offense, and Utah doesn't have as many guys that are going to be playing football on Sunday at defense as they usually do, and that's kind of the interesting thing to me with this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. And we'll get into this potentially as an early week pick and money-making time, but right now USC 2.5-point favorites, juiced at minus 124, suggesting it may be a flat 3 by kick, which would be super interesting. Over under at 66.5, juiced a little bit over there, suggesting that could climb as well. All right, now the other one here, Big 12 championship game. TCU, man, they've done the unthinkable. They've faced defeat 17,000 times this season, won all 17,000 of those situations. It's been crazy. Kansas State, I don't want to say backdoored their way in because they beat teams in big moments when they had to. They find themselves in a potential spoiler role with, Will Howard, who replaced Adrian Martinez, who was doing well for them. Kind of the last run here for Deuce Vaughn in that offense. This is an interesting game to me, just because we've said for so long, TCU, they are gettable and they're going to lose this matchup. Now it feels like everybody's looking at TCU like, no, they're the juggernaut. We want them to win. We want them to be in. It's like a different type of situation for them here. Do you think they can handle that different mentality?
Well, that'll be interesting. I think in their minds, they're probably still going to be the underdog no matter what, because the narrative this week is going to be, look at the last time they played. Right? I mean, look at what happened. They were so close. We thought TCU was going down the first time. It didn't end up happening, but that's what's sticking in people's minds. Kansas State has the number 1 scoring defense in the Big 12. They get after people, right, on the defensive end. TCU just wants to score the ball and score the ball and score the ball, and the defense is better than I think people give it credit for. And we were talking about victory lapping a little bit earlier, Brad. Neither one of us had a play on TCU. We didn't even have enough conviction to go under on these guys, and here they are crushing the college football world.
Dude, it's your famous line. I thought it was hilarious. If Sonny Dykes was coaching Alabama, I don't even know if I would touch his win total. Either way, over or under. And I was like, dude, I know, because Sonny Dykes at SMU is like, either it's a roller coaster, man. They're fucking great one year, and then the other year, like, they have the talent to win the championship this year in the conference. They just never did it. It was crazy. He's taken this team. I don't know what's going on. They love him. He's finally found like the school that he has enough talent that he can do his things. I don't know what's going on there, but the dude is flat out coaching this team to heights that we haven't seen since Gary Patterson 8 years ago. I am worried right now, as this is a spot that may be a little bit too big for this program right now. And not saying Kansas State is world beaters or Alabama or they've been there before or anything like that, but they played the spoiler role very well. That's something that Kansas State's done. That's that lineage of that program. TCU hasn't been the one that people are coming after before. They've been, hey, people are doubting us. 80% of the money right now and 80% of the bets, Tyson, are on TCU. People love this team. They could be, I don't know, man. I don't want to say it, but I'm not going to use the choke word here, because you come this far. But man, oh man, talking about letting some people down if they lose this one.
You're looking for upset alert. I think that's the one that doesn't offend anybody and also isn't trademarked. Okay. Did you hear Joe Bark on Monday night when they put the In the Hunt graphic up, and he's like, nobody from any other network's been able to figure out a new term for this. That's how I feel with upset alert. So we got to find something new.
All right, Tyson, let's get into a little bit of money-making time. We're going to start a preview. We're going to do some rapid-fire stuff. If we have bets, we do. If not, we don't. But we got a victory lap a little bit here. We wanted to talk about it. What's our best calls and our worst calls of the year so far as we did it, our preseason picks going into the season. So let's start with our best calls here. Let's pat ourselves on the back, and we can make fun of ourselves. We kind of get rolling through this thing here. And I'll let you start if you would like. I'll give you the honors here.
Well, I think I'm gonna go with one that was both of us, but the Tennessee over 7.5 was fun. That was a
That was
good
great.
one. That was a really really fun one to have, and we did pretty well at the SEC as a whole. LSU over 6.5 was another really fun one, but that Tennessee one, they cleaned it up early and then they just disappeared. Like we don't know, we didn't have to worry about them when they started losing. It was all good, brother.
Let's not forget you said at plus 400 Tennessee over 10 plus wins, baby, and we rolled it. I trusted you. We bankrolled it and we hit.
Yeah, it's a big. We were a big Tennessee podcast preseason, which ended up being rewarding, and that's the flip side of us not believing in TCU. At least we got a little bit of something.
Now I got to say, man, ACC kind of haunted us a little bit. It's probably our worst conference overall. Pac-12 our best one, but I'm going to go to the ACC, and I'm going to say Louisville over 5.5 wins. It was sweaty at first, Tyson. We were both on it, and it came through for us, and actually was probably our biggest win over there in the ACC. We kind of got slaughtered a bit this year in the preseason picks.
I cannot believe. I mean, are we doing multiple of these? I guess.
Yeah, we'll get a couple of these. Well,
I need you to go again because I thought for sure the first one out of your mouth was going to be Kansas over 2.5.
Oh, well, I told you to take that with me, and you were too scared. I tried to get you on board with me. I mean, that's my best call. No, actually, no. I got to pair these together. Arizona over 2.5. Nobody wanted any piece of that. And the Kansas over 2.5. Probably the Kansas one because they won like 5 or 6 games, whatever they won. Those were my best calls, I think, for sure. Oh, those were electric when it just first started hitting the winning side, Tyson.
Yeah, that was quick too. I mean, we had to wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks for Kansas, and then you were already on here going off.
Oof.
I think one of my favorite ones from the year because it was fun to watch the program kind of resurge was Florida State over 6.5. I did that thinking they were going to win the first 2 weeks, which ended up coming true. And then I didn't really know how the rest of the season was going to pan out. And here we are, second to last college football playoff ranking, and they're a top 15 program in the country. Talk about a quick turnaround.
Absolutely. No, for sure. And I did not believe it. I did not believe in this team. I couldn't do the under just because you were so convicted in it. You had so much conviction, but I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't play them. Now, let's get to the worst calls here because I want to make fun of myself a bit. And I tried to do Galaxy.
Oh, you got one more. You got to at least give some Texas A&M hate. They just crushed LSU, and I need.
You're right.
I need a little love.
Texas A&M under 8.5 was the biggest lock that we said it was that plus money.
It was plus money.
They won 5 games. Oh, that felt so good because we honestly lathered ourselves up in the predict that one just because we were so pissed at everything surrounding Texas A&M. We're like, you know what? That's more so of a spite bet, and the fact that it was plus money felt even better. But 5 wins for A&M going 3 to 4 wins under their expected win total is amazing. Just that program.
Went from 8.5 to. I mean, they'll probably make a bowl because there's a 200 now, and some 5-win teams get in there. But in the old days, they're not even bowl eligible. That feels good.
Oh, it felt great. All right, worst calls. Now I'll jump into this one, and I know because I know you're going to laugh at me because you tried to talk me off this ledge twice, and it was in the Big Ten. Now, as good as my Texas A&M prediction was, my Nebraska thing might have been the stupidest thing I ever did. Over 7.5 wins. They ended up with 3. Just moronic. Then I have to double down with Northwestern over 3.5 wins. They win 1 game, and it was the first one of the season against Nebraska. That was frustrating, but you can't all be winners, and you got to say, hey, I fucked up on that one. And those were 2. I was looking at myself as soon as I placed. I'm like, why did you do that?
Well, those are funny, and that's because you just refuse to get off the Scott Frost train no matter what.
I hate him too.
But one that we were on together that I think was our worst maybe take of all time on the show, Miami over 8.5. I don't know what we were thinking preseason. I'll have to go back and listen, but we were both drinking the Kool-Aid. It was like, Tyler Van Dyke and new coach, new system, new culture, baby. This is going to be sweet. And they are one of the worst Power 5 football teams in all of college football. Like, these guys could show up and lose to anybody on Saturday, and they can only beat like 30% of the damn teams in the country. It was a giant failure and a pretty decent oversight on our part.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good call, and I think you kind of heard the rumblings that Cristobal wasn't the best coach. And like, we'll kind of push that to the side. Well, that didn't go so well for us. And then I got to say, worst calls as well. There's a possibility we go 1-for-4 in our preseason. Who's going to win these conferences picks? That's fine, though. We'll take it with the win totals. Those are always the hardest, but 1-for-4, that stings a little bit.
And all these win totals are posted on our Instagram, and you can go look and cross-reference us. And I haven't added it up yet, but we're 65% somewhere in there. And that's kind of being conservative. But as you said, like we missed out on a lot of extra money at the beginning of the season. We both had Texas, right?
Yep.
That didn't work so well. Clemson and we both have Clemson win the ACC. You have USC to win the Pac-12, and I have Utah. And that is the only people we have left alive. We were on Bama. We were on Texas. We were on Ohio State. And so that kind of hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it does.
Yeah, like I said, man, we'll cry into the little couple bucks we made.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get it rolling for next year, and hopefully, we'll take the same exercise, do the same thing, the win totals, and hit a little bit more.
We're probably going to end up picking Ohio State, Bama, Clemson. Like it's not going to be that different next year for a conference champs. It's been a fun year.
It has. Absolutely. All right, let's get into this money-making time right now, Tyson. We're going to preview this a little bit. And I don't know, man. I don't have this, but we'll put the graphic up here. Akron and Buffalo. Very, very intriguing game here. This isn't the conference final. Not my fault. This is just an added game. That's on me. But we already talked about this at Utah, USC. We can come back to that. Just we can get some other games in here. Something quick here. North Texas at UTSA. This Conference USA championship game. UTSA 8.5-point favorites here. Do you have a read anything here, or do you have anything earlier taken?
Well, just one thing to point out about this is UTSA is quietly putting together a pretty solid stretch of mid-major football. Like if they complete this season, you go back and look through the last couple. If they win this game, they're going to be top 20 in the final ranking. And if they go win a bowl game, we're talking a team that for the last couple of years has given people nightmares, and it's pretty cool to see. As far as this game goes, I think they're going to win. North Texas is a good team. I'm really digging what's happening, though, over at UTSA.
I love what's going on at UTSA as well. The 8.5, I'm going to have to think on it. I don't have any play right now. I think UTSA wins. I love their quarterback, the lefty, Harris. He's a great player, especially in that league, too. This should be a fun, high-scoring game, and UTSA pulls it out. But I'm going to have to sit. It's going to be on our chalkboard if I play anything there. Next game here, Toledo in Ohio. Toledo, 1.5-point favorite. And Mac's been a little crazy this year, man, and it always is. But the teams, I think people thought were going to be in this thing, just didn't end up here. What do you have on this thing in a small spread game?
Do you like touchdowns?
I love touchdowns.
Oh, you probably shouldn't watch this one. I'm going to play. I'm going under 55.5. That's my early lean here. It's Maction, baby. And if you watch these teams, this is Mac football. And if it's anything like most conference championship games, the nerves are running. It's going to be slow starting. It's going to be cold. These guys are going to be hitting. I think that expecting both these teams to put up 4 touchdowns is optimistic.
Yeah, I'm leaning the over as well. I think this is going to be the high-scoring game. I'm concerned that it's juiced a little bit under that 55.5, so I'm going to have to take a look at that and see what's going on there. Next game, Coastal Carolina, Troy. Troy, 8.5-point favorites. This suggests Grayson McCall's not playing. I think he's already been ruled out for the year anyway. Juice is going a little bit towards Coastal. I mean, I like Troy in this one. I think Troy's going to try to make a statement here and win this game. I think they can cover. I would like it to get down to 8, but I'll lay it with Troy at 8.5. I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait to see what we can get for it.
That's what I'm doing too. I'm going to wait. It's a wait and see approach, but I agree that Troy's going to try to make a statement. It's been a really good year for lesser known teams in the South.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coastal, Chadwell, man, it feels like people are wondering if he's going to stay. There's other jobs already got scooped up. I don't know what's going on with
This
that.
coaching carousel has been crazy. We didn't even talk about that, but it's so much different than last year as far as LSU being open, USC being open, what's going to happen with Mel Tucker, all these things, and then people are throwing bags, and it's like, oh, James Franklin gone? Like, what's happening? And then this year, it's like, oh, we're done.
Right.
Liberty's open if you want it. Everything else is we're good.
Your Bayou Bengals going to face Georgia. It's in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You think Georgia's going to have some advantage there? I don't know, but it's not like LSU fans don't travel. But 18.5-point favorites here. They're just expecting just a smackdown. That feels a little disrespectful to me. I don't know. That's a lot of points in a conference championship game. You're the LSU guy, though. What do you think?
Well, I looked it up, and Georgia has a chance to play neutral site in Atlanta 3 times this year. They did it 4 times a year ago. And obviously it's not their fault, but it's like, come on, again? Like, these guys, it's in their backyard. These guys going to take a bus? Like, what the? But as far as the game goes, dude, I've been saying it all year, and I think it's been weird as an LSU fan to be watching the season and also have the beliefs that I have that they're still – like, they've been overrated by the general public since they beat Bama, really. I mean, before that, they were maybe a little bit underrated as far as like what they could do, and they showed that against Ole Miss, and they showed that against Florida. But Bama's not a top-level team. And so LSU was able to play with them, drag them into deep water, and then beat them in overtime. And if that overtime isn't Bryant-Denny, LSU's probably not even in the top 25 right now. That's just kind of the reality of this thing. Georgia's a fucking wagon. And this is a money line parlay for sure. I got to examine the points more. Brian Kelly might be able to play his way into keeping this thing close, but there's not a whole lot that LSU presents that's going to trouble Georgia very much at all.
Yeah, I lean taking the points. What you said, it's making me not jump on it right now, quite honestly. Now, I may get down to 18, which would be – we'll see. I think this may be a late evolving play for me as well. Like maybe something, something comes out on Saturday or Friday, maybe pushing you in a certain direction. But I would be leaning taking the points right now with LSU, but I'm not going to play anything. Next one here, Fresno State has to go into Boise to face Boise State in the Mountain West Championship game. Jake Haener, last one here. They're getting 3.5 points. This is heavily juiced, minus 122. Probably going to get down to 3 at some point, if we're not at 3 by kick. This is very interesting. I mean, Boise State, they sat a ton of their players last week. And, Fresno State sort of did the same thing. Boise State, since they put in their backup quarterbacks, completely different, taking this team to a different level. I mean, Taylon Green's been awesome for him, like newcomer of the year type of awards getting handed out to him in the Mountain West Conference. Any lean here? It feels like Fresno State should have the firepower, but I don't know.
Well, first of all, it's a crime this game is at 4 Eastern. This is a nighttime game if I've ever seen one. They don't want to put them up with some of these other guys, but it's like, don't really move the Clemson North Carolina game up to the day. Let these guys have the nightcap because this is going to be fun. That's the one thing I know about this. It makes me interested in the over. I kind of want to see everything because we record on Tuesdays, right? So I want to see everything up until Saturday to make an official play. But this one's going to be a banger, man. And I think that if it was at 8 p.m., 6 p.m. your time, there might be 50 more points put up.
UCF at Tulane. Your Tulane, Tyson. Now, laying 3.5. They are at home. It's the first time they've hosted a conference championship game at home in the Tulane program history. I like Tulane, man. I really do. I know you've been on this wagon from the start, and I'm kind of jumping on it now. The hook kind of scares me away a bit, but if it gets down to 3, I'm going to be all over Tulane.
Everything that people love about group of 5 teams is Tulane embodies. Everything that they do. They're not Cincinnati where they're almost they're systematically breaking you down, and then they're eventually going to hit a couple Jerome Ford huge runs. They're going to lock you down on defense. There's nothing you can do with that. But Tulane is you want fun? We got it. You want a close half? We can do that. You want defense? We'll do it. We don't like to do it all that much, but we'll do it. I've been loving Tulane this year. UCF is I can't believe the rankings came out and it was did you guys watch UCF a week ago? How are they still getting this much love? And not the college football one, but the AP poll and the coaches poll and stuff. It's did you just wake up from a week long nap or something? Did you miss what happened?
Yeah, it's Tulane. I mean, there's a couple times I thought they're going to stumble, and they just never did. I think this is a really solid team. Another solid team here, Tyson. I had to throw this in here. Southern at Jackson State, baby. Prime time, undefeated. Now, last year they got pounded in the conference championship game. I remember watching that because I had a little bit of scratch on Jackson State and Deion Sanders. They're laying 17 and a half here. This is going to be my first play. I'm taking Jackson State minus 17 and a half. They're better. They're hungry. They're going to win this game. They want to make a statement.
See, I have like no real opinion on this, but to listen to you give that reason that you lost on them last year, so now you're playing it for sure. That means I'm going the other way. That's the same thing that happened with Nebraska and Northwestern. This is easy. I got Southern, probably Southern money line.
Oh God, Southern money line plus 640.
Easy.
All right, Clemson, North Carolina. Now this is a big game for us because we have Clemson to win the ACC. Now, conventional wisdom, or not even conventional wisdom, I guess, kind of gambling thought here is, hey, you just take North Carolina in the money line and sure you have a profit. You may do that. Clemson might give it 7.5. Now,
if you're a nerd.
Yeah, if you're a nerd. It isn't Charlotte. North Carolina may have a little bit of advantage, but it's not like Clemson's coming down from Florida, right? They're in South Carolina. So anything you like here? I know North Carolina's offense has not been as good lately. And I know Clemson, I think they want to get some hardware after a somewhat disappointing season by their standards.
Right. And if you ask Dabo, they're still not out of this thing, right? And that's going to be the message all week long in the locker room. If we go out and we dominate, like, put something on their minds. And I fully expect this to be a very close game. But I'm not one of those people that you just said you should put the money on North Carolina and ensure you win something. We're doubling down. Like, what are we doing? This is not a question to me. Clemson's a better team. North Carolina's got some really, really fun schemes, I guess, in the way they run offense. They move the ball like crazy. If you like high flying, if you like really good passing offenses, North Carolina's one to watch. Which is funny because when they had Sam Howell, everyone thought the same thing, and it was really Javonte Williams and Michael Carter that was making the buzz go. This year's a little bit different than that, but this is experience and pedigree, baby, and you got to take it.
Okay, now here's the last one of the conference championship slate. We still want to circle back to the Pac-12 and the Big 12, but this is the last one of the night. This is going to be the nightcap on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Purdue, Michigan. Michigan by 16.5 points. I'm taking Michigan. I'm laying it. Remember what people said last year? Well, how is Michigan going to get up after beating Ohio State? Now they got to go face Iowa. You know, Michigan's never been in the spot before. They destroyed Iowa. And Iowa was a better team last year than this Purdue team is. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh has these guys believing. They want to compete for a national championship. They know they're not going to take this game for granted because they know if they lose this game, they could have a harder road potentially to go to the championship game. I think they come in focused. I think they want to make an absolute statement here, pound Purdue, lock up that number 2 spot, and then potentially have a rematch with Georgia on the horizon. Or a match with Georgia on the horizon.
You're a Big Ten guy. You know that a little bit of the history of the Big Ten, right? So we got a night game involving an undefeated, very high-ranked team coming off a pounding of their biggest rival, right? And then they're playing an unranked Purdue. What normally happens in these scenarios, Brad?
Oh, Purdue, man, giant killers.
And what does Michigan struggle with the most? To me, that's letting people stay in the game for 2 quarters. And that's what they do. And this line right now is Purdue plus 9.5 in the first half. And I think that Purdue is going to come out with a ton of juice. I think that's the play that I'm going to make is plus 9.5 Purdue first half. I think Michigan's going to win. I would be surprised if they don't cover at 16.5. But I think that this is going to be close for the first 30 minutes, and everyone's going to be texting you, telling you got to get this game on. Like Michigan's going to go down, and then they're going to blow them out. But for 30 minutes, man, that's all we need.
How about that for a handicap from Tyson? All right, this is going to be Friday, so potentially we can know if Ohio State's alive or not in one slot, right? There's both lose. It's crazy. One loses here in the Pac-12 and Big 12. Ohio State's alive. We touched on this briefly. USC is given 2.5. Is there anything you're interested in this one?
I just said it with the Clemson thing, and I'm doing it again, man. I mean, if we're going to go mano a mano, we got to do it all the way through. We got to go all the way down the board. I think USC is a better team. I fully expect USC to win the game. I got Utah money line, no question about it. I mean, I had them preseason.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to try to recoup my money just to come out $6 ahead, right? That to me,
Right.
like I'm not. And then if you lose the other way, it's like, well, shit. What's the point? So I'm going Utah. I'm going physicality of Utah. I'm going the tradition and the pride of USC to show up in these big moments and get housed. I got the Utes.
Well, I got to go. I'm rolling with my boy Caleb Williams. We're going mano a mano. I had USC to win the Pac-12. You had Utah, so it's coming down to this. We got to stick to our guns. You got Utah. I got USC. USC, I'm laying at -2.5. Caleb Williams gets it done for me. Makes you cry a little bit, Tyson, on that Friday night. I know it.
I'll be busy.
All right, last one here to wrap up. Kansas State, TCU. TCU given 2.5 here and played in Arlington. That's close to Dallas, where Texas Christian plays. I think it's going to be absolutely packed for TCU fans. Like, this is going to be a home game. So, honestly, if I'm looking at that in that analysis, this line, is it factored in? Are they saying it's a pick 'em? If that's the case, I think TCU should be the side here. That's the play. But I'm curious what your thought is.
Well, I've been picking against TCU all year for the most part. And so it almost feels like I have to go the other way because I think I really enjoyed seeing them in the playoff. But in all seriousness, like, this is Kansas State's moment, I think. Like, to me, this is, if you watch this team play and you watch that first game specifically, Kansas State, obviously, they've won their last 3 and they've looked good doing it. TCU's been obviously cruising all year, undefeated, 12-0. Beating everybody you don't think they're supposed to beat. But this is another one of those where, as you said, 80% of the money, and then it shifts a little bit. And it's like, well, we're supposed to be here now. And I think Kansas State is fully aware of where they're at. Sonny Dykes is coach of the year, no matter what happens in this game, which is fucking nuts, dude. That doesn't make any sense in my brain. But I'm going Kansas State money line, dude. And that's the way I'm going to run it. I think the 3 that I just gave you, that parlay comes out to plus 866, which might be worth a little sprinkle there. But I think that this is the one of the weekend where people are going to be hitting the panic button. And then is it Ohio State? Is it Bama? Like, how does this work? Is Penn State has a claim? Clemson just beat the shit out of North Carolina. What are we going to do?
Oof. Oh, man. Because you know it's going to happen, right? It's just college football drama. It's got to come down to it. So I think I'm going to stay away from now, and then I'm going to get the itch at noon or 10 because I'll be out here in Phoenix and be like, oh, shit, I should play something in this one. And that'll be in our chalkboard. So that's why you guys have to be following us on chalkboard. Basketball's been heating up for me. I've been doing pretty well in the World Cup too. So if you guys have been watching soccer, getting up early, you gotta be getting in that and having a good time with us.
And yeah, Brad was over the moon earlier today, feeling a lot better than somebody's nether regions. I guess we could say that. Can you believe they said abdominal injury and it was like, dude, watch the replay.
Yeah, they took him to the hospital. I'm curious to know like what it was.
Well, I mean, we won the game, so if he can't have kids going forward, I think it was worthwhile.
I agree. It's USA on to the knockout round. Hey, let's go. We got a date with Netherlands on Saturday, so that's going to start my weekend off. We go from football and the conference football championships. So we'll have picks, analysis, all that. College basketball. Tyson's just waiting to strike. He doesn't play anything in November. He waits till December. He gets all his little data going and starts firing.
It's a supercomputer in here, and it has to be fully refined. I have to have everything that I need. No, but honestly, I'm glad I stayed away this month. It's been chaos out there, and I would have been playing the wrong sides of most of them. It's been really good basketball, though. I think we're in for pretty surprising regular season.
Yeah, I'm super excited. In the meantime, though, follow us on Instagram @ _ the roundtable pod _ Our TikTok is the same, and Twitter is @ TRT _ pod. Next episode, Thursday, we're going to give out our NFL picks again for the weekend. We just had a big weekend last weekend too, Tyson, in the NFL. So make sure to join the chalkboard. That link is in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify or Apple. We appreciate you guys as always. Until next time, peace.